Conspiracy theories are rampant these days. Sometimes they seem really like they could be true, but other times they are so ridiculous you can't believe that people actually believe them. Seriously. Here are some of the most ridiculous theories out there. Number 1, chemicals in the water are turning people gay. Yeah, this is a real concern for some. Conspiracy theorist and radio host Alex Jones is famous, or should we say infamous, for his unbelievable theories, as well as public statements that many with any common sense wouldn't agree with. Apart from being anti-vaxx, pro-guns, and a believer that government actually controls the weather, I mean, do we need to say more to get a picture of the direction his ideologies lean? He's also claimed that the government is putting chemicals in the water that are turning people into homosexuals. Yeah, you heard that right, water is making people gay. Alex alleged that governments are using endocrine-disrupting chemical pollutants in the water supply to increase LGBTQ population. He cited research on the effects of atrazine on frogs, which can induce spontaneous sex change, to claim that the US government was putting chemicals in the water that turned the friggin' frogs gay as a part of a chemical warfare operation to increase homosexuality and suppress birth rates. However, he's failed to note that frogs can spontaneously change sex in non-polluted waterways in response to temperature. So, what do you think? Is the chemical also known as the gay bomb turning the frogs gay? Now, moving on from that, one of the more popular, albeit ridiculous, theories out there involves famous people being replaced by clones. Let's explore a few, shall we? First up, Avril Lavigne was replaced by a clone named Melissa. Now, a conspiracy that started on a Brazilian fan website, and it claims that at the beginning of her career, Avril Lavigne used a body double whose name is Melissa. Apparently, the singer passed away back in 2003, and the producers were keen to use Melissa as the new Avril Lavigne. Now, one piece of evidence to this conspiracy theory is the sudden change of Avril's style. The real Avril preferred tomboy looks, and Melissa is definitely more girly. Some fans even believe that there are clues in the songs about Melissa becoming the new Avril Lavigne, such as lyrics in the songs Slip Away, where she sings, "The day you slipped away was the day I found it won't be the same." There is also a creepy photo of Avril where she has the name Melissa written on her hand, and weirdly enough, this conspiracy theory has more evidence than most other conspiracies in this list. Kinda makes you wonder. Better not think more of it. Moving on. Number 3. Now this one is similar to Avril/Melissa, except it's Paul McCartney's clone. Except Paul McCartney's clone doesn't have a name. Also known as Paul is Dead theory, it claims that the Beatles' bass guitarist and vocalist actually passed away in 1969 and was replaced by a lookalike, just like Avril. And it all started with a rumor that McCartney had passed away in a traffic accident. And it later escalated into a theory that the band was trying to hide the fact that Paul is dead. Obviously, if he died, the Beatles would have lost success, so it makes sense that he would be replaced, right? What seems to be a small theory became a theme of many articles in various newspapers. In 1993, McCartney joked about this theory in his live album, titling it Paul is Live. Up next, we're back to government conspiracy, and this one is deadly. Literally. Some people noticed that, oddly enough, a huge amount of tragedies happened during the month of April. According to these people, April is actually the government's blood sacrifice season, and during this month, the government performs sacrifices to the demon god Baal, and then later disguises these sacrifices as tragedies. Now, what are some of these tragedies that have happened in mid-April, you might ask yourself? Well, the Titanic sinking, the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, the Columbine school shooting, Oklahoma City bombing, Good Friday massacre, 1906 San Francisco earthquake, Boston Marathon bombing, Notre Dame fire, Virginia Tech shooting, and oh my gosh, I mean, it must be true. Okay, let's reel it in here a little bit. It seems a lot of these seem to have shooting in common, but that's just a topic for another video. Many tragedies tend to happen around the same time in April, and even CNN has published an article questioning this tragic and unbelievable coincidence. And weirdly enough, mid-April has actually been the period of sacrifice throughout many civilizations, and the cult of Baal used to worship their god of sun and fertility by sacrificing humans and fire. Conspiracy theorists believe that this horrible tradition is continued by the government in the form of guns, fires, and explosions and death. I mean, the guns one is certainly believable in America. People love guns. Moving on. Next up is definitely a favorite of mine. King Charles is a vampire. We see him in the daylight and he's not sparkling. So how can this be true? I don't know. People seem to believe this theory because, according to the genealogy records, King Charles might have descended from Vlad the Impaler, who was the inspiration behind Bram Stoker's Dracula. How people jumped from related to some guy who was the inspiration for Dracula to being Dracula remains, well, to be determined. I don't know, perhaps it's because of a condition called porphyria, which is common amongst royals. The condition is caused by iron deficiency and makes a person sensitive to light. Now, does King Charles have this condition? No, but he has fully embraced the theory. The king appeared in Romania's National Tourist Office ad where he claimed that Transylvania is in my blood and joked about being the descendant of Vlad the Impaler, which sparked even more conspiracies. And later in 2017, the prince, now king, was offered the title of Prince of Transylvania because of his links to the region and promotion of Transylvania as a tourist destination. And these added flames to the fire and furthered the belief in his vampiric origins. So let's move on from mythological creatures, and we are jumping to another supposed myth. The moon is not real. Pretty simple, but here it is, yet again. No real explanation as to why anyone would be interested in continuing such a huge lie for centuries. Kind of like flat earthers, non-mooners simply choose to believe something completely contradictory to factual evidence, which is important. According to this conspiracy theory, the moon does not exist and it's only a hologram created to fool everyone on Earth. Why would anyone go to such great lengths to do that is beyond me. There are some videos online that try to prove it, but the evidence is shockingly weak. Now, there's no evidence for the next theory, but it does make a lot of sense. Stonehenge was built by the aliens. I mean, how else could it have gone there? Scientists can't seem to figure out an explanation as to how somebody without any engineering knowledge managed to move stones that weigh 50 tons. They're really heavy. So, conspiracy theorists have jumped in to provide an explanation. Aliens. According to Eric von Duncan, the author of the book Chariots of the Gods, who claims that many ancient megastructures, such as Stonehenge, the Egyptian pyramids, and the Maui heads of Easter Island, were built using know-how passed down from God-like aliens to mankind. Now, this one out of all of them seems the most believable. How did the stones from Stonehenge and other seemingly impossible engineering feats of ancient times come to be? The answer is simple. The truth is out there, and it's aliens. Maybe. The next one reminds one of the age-old question. If the tree falls in the forest, but no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Moving on to number 8, the phantom time hypothesis. If there's no evidence from a certain time period, did it even exist? That's what this theory attempts to prove. This historical conspiracy theory was first published in 1991, and it basically says that 279 years of our history doesn't exist. The author of this conspiracy, Herbert Illig, believes that the events from 1614 to 911 have been faked, and this includes the entire Carolingian period and the figure of Charlemagne. Why? Well, simply because there is a lack of archaeological evidence for those 297 years. Although there are many people who believe this theory, again, no distinct reason why anyone would be interested in adding those years, historians have rejected Illig's proposal for obvious reasons. Now, for the next one, you may find that the president has more control than you thought. Number 9, Barack Obama could control the weather. While the government does control a lot, it's hard to believe, well, it is for most people, that one person can control the weather. I mean, like, what's this? X-Men? After the tragic events of Hurricane Sandy, some newspapers started spreading the message that this event might have been engineered by none other than Barack Obama. Yeah. It was believed that the president used the high-frequency active auroral research program to create the hurricane, and some people even spoke about this being a way for the president to be re-elected. Conspiracy theorists also claimed that the government uses the Alaska-based program to change the weather using electromagnetic waves, which basically means that Obama controls the weather, so he is an X-Men after all. Cool! And last but certainly not least, our grand finale. Elvis is alive! That's right, the king is alive. Now, this rumor's been circulating for many years, since Elvis died or didn't. I mean, why would people believe that someone who died isn't dead? I mean, it's hard to say if these people are the biggest Presley fans or they just can't get used to the fact that unfortunately the singer passed away many years ago, or if these people are actually telling us to open our eyes and notice that there's a very big chance the iconic singer is actually still alive. Now, this theory became more popular after one fan claimed that she received a call from Elvis saying that he is alive and well. Other clues that lead people to believe the singer did not pass away is the incomplete medical examiner's report, unsigned will, and a body in a coffin that appeared to be sweating and was possibly made of wax. Ooh, suspicious.